And I'm here with Austin, who's helping us moderate, and Mark Coburg, our executive director, who will probably raise his hand. Um, and it's my great honor to welcome Venerable Dhammananda to InsightLA. This is, of course, a silver lining of the global pandemic that we can have a guest from Thailand. It's 10 in the morning, her time, but that she can come and be with us, and you can see the setting. And we can actually be in her monastery for a moment, which is another thing that would never happen if she just came and, spoke and spent an evening with us. But we can see this beautiful deity that she likes, who is the expression of honesty, sincerity and honesty behind. And it's really kind of thrilling to be able to visit her monastery in Thailand a little bit. So I first knew of Venerable in her incarnation as a very famous professor in Thailand, Dr. Chasumam Kadlising, and she founded an organization called Sakyadita, which means Daughters of the Buddha. And it was an international organization of Buddhist women, which was so welcome to me. I considered myself at that time in 1984 a daughter of the Buddha, but of course, not being a monastic, I wouldn't have been able to join if it had been open to lay women too. And now, now Venerable is the abbess of Thailand's first ever all-female monastery, which was founded by her mother, who became Bikkhuni, I think also in Thailand, in Taiwan. So after being a professor for 27 years, Venerable Dhammananda decided to ordain. She waited until she felt the calling from her own heart, until it was time. She did have a married life and 3 children. She now has 6 grandchildren, 1 great-grandson named Austin, like our moderator. And this is one of the fascinating things about Venerable, and one of the reasons I'm really excited to have her with us, because she did have a very big life out in the world. She was a professor for 27 years. She hosted a popular radio show for years. And the BBC named her as Thailand's first female monk in 2019, last year. She was named one of the world's 100 most inspiring and influential women in the world. So we're really honored to have you here with us. Thank you so much for coming. And Venerable is here with Cindy Rasicot. Cindy wrote a book which I actually read cover to cover, called Finding Venerable Mother. And it's a story. Cindy lived in Thailand for 12 years, and this is a story of her spiritual awakening and practice at this monastery, where she actually ordained temporarily as a nun in 2014. And the memoir is just a very beautiful spiritual journey, and you're all invited to read it. So these are our 2 guests this evening, and I'm just thrilled. I think we're going to have a wonderful time. And thank you, everybody, for coming. And thank you, Mark, Austin, and team for making this happen. Cindy.
Thank you. Of course, it's a real honor for me to be here, and big thank you to Trudy for hosting us, as well as InsightLA. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Austin, for being here. I'm really personally very excited about this, because I've been talking about Venerable for about 15 years. And although some of you met her briefly in 2009, this is the first time that people have had a chance to hear and understand her wise, compassionate, and sometimes funny viewpoint. So I'm honored to be able to begin the interview, and I think I'll just go ahead and get started. Let me ask the first question. Venerable, you have been a champion for women's monastic ordination in the Theravada Buddhist tradition for more than 4 decades. Why is this so important to you? And how did you switch from being an academic to becoming an activist?
Too long a question. Sorry, one by one, okay? When I switched from lay life to monastics, my mother she was the abbot of this temple. And when she was growing old, everybody seems to be pointing fingers, expecting me to follow her footsteps. That is to be ordained. But to be ordained is not a small thing, Number one, you have to change your hairstyle. Literally change your life. And I was not ready for that. I was raising a family. I had to wait until my youngest son, when I was ordained, my youngest son was 24, just to make sure that I don't leave them stranded, when they're in their teenage period of life, which is a real crisis for them. So I did not like the idea of how people were really pushing me to be ordained. Monastic life is a committed life. And as I was struggling not to accept that, there was a time when, at the same time, I was teaching at the university and I was also running this television program. And, before you appear on television, they always spend half an hour on your face, half an hour on your hair, like that, So one morning when I was putting on makeup, there was this voice from inside that questioning me, looking at my own reflection in the mirror. How long do I have to do this? I was kind of stunned, Yes, how long do I have to do this? Meaning, how long do I have to put on this makeup? And how long do I have to lead my life as lay person? I considered that, having studied Christianity, I considered that a call from God. As a Christian, you would call it, this is a call from God. So that was the moment that I decided, yes, I would commit myself to monastic life. It happened, I think, between 1999 or 2000. When the year 2000 came, wow, people were saying that this is millennium. Even the word millennium, we didn't know, it's a new word for us because in our lifetime, we never heard of this millennium, whether in Thai or in English. You need to do something in your life, kind of when you tell people about your life, you can say something happened in the year 2000. Yes. So that was the year I decided to lead a monastic life. But there must be preparation. So the first preparation for me was to go to Taiwan and receive Bodhisattva's precept. That was as a layperson. I did not have understanding about Bodhisattva's precepts. I knew my mother had. My mother received Bodhisattva's precept, and that was a set of 58 precepts. I thought I was going to take these 58 precepts, but as I turned up, I was a layperson, but my mother was monastic when she received the precepts. So it's different sets of precepts. So I received 34 precepts as a layperson. Mm-hmm. Why is it important to receive this lay precept? For me, it is to mark out my life that I am committed. I'm committed. And very interesting, particularly for those who have families. I was having family, but it was that time that two things in my life that I so much wanted is to be celibate. Isn't that interesting? To be celibate and to be vegetarian. Those were the two things that I wanted to commit. And after receiving the Bodhisattva's precept, that was my first step of commitment to prepare myself, to see whether I am true to what I was thinking. I had one commitment that I could not live lay life yet. I was organizing International Ramayana Conference at the university. And that is something that you cannot just simply that, oh, I want to be ordained, and then you just leave, you know. So that happened on December 8th of the year 2000. When I finished with that international conference, then I prepared myself for ordination. So ordination happened early in the year 2001. 2001. Now come the lineage. It's difficult to decide for the lineage because there was no ordination, no full ordination in Vajrayana. At that time, you know, I was having quite a bit connection with Vajrayana because I did many translations on His Holiness Dalai Lama's work. I considered to be ordained as a samaneri in Tibetan tradition. But what happened after samaneri, I would like to continue as full ordination. They don't have. So the thing that I would cause much problem to people in my country is that I keep changing the robe, which is, it didn't work. So I waited until I got the news that the actual full ordination happened and recognized in Sri Lanka. The first one happened in India, but the Sri Lankan received the lineage. So that's why my ordination started from Sri Lanka, And for Cindy's question, why is it that I have to start the Sangha? I look at my mother's life. My mother became the first Bhikkhuni in Thailand, but her lineage was from Taiwan. In order for you to continue the lineage, you have to have very strong Chinese so that you can perform the rituals. My mother received ordination, not the training. So therefore, she could not train people to be ordained. That has to be in Chinese. So in my time, you know, at my age, I could not possibly study Chinese well enough to master the language in order to perform the ceremony. I realized that, you know. So easiest way for me is Theravada, because Theravada use Pali, the old language of Buddhism. So it is important. I saw in my mother's time, she could not start a Sangha. And in my time, if I want to lead this monastic life, I should help to bring forward the Sangha. Why? Why is it important to have the Sangha? The Buddha established fourfold Buddhist communities. The Bhikkhu Sangha, fully ordained monk, fully ordained Bhikkhuni, fully ordained nuns. You know, so it is like a chair with four legs. One leg is missing in my country, and I need to bring back this leg by the preparation of the ordination. And it is only through the Sangha that it can continue. My mother was ordained. She could not start, she could not continue the Sangha. Then I am not looking for ordination for myself. I am looking for ordination to start the lineage, to start the Sangha. That's why the community is very important, very important. And from my time when I stepped out to be ordained in the year 2001 up to now, 2020, we have more than 285 Bhikkhunis in Thailand already. So that's a kind of give you a shortcut, you know, from then to now, this is a change that is happening in this country. Thailand has 77 provinces. At least you will find Bhikkhunis in 40 provinces. In all the major regions of the country, you can find Bhikkhunis. So this is very important to establish the Bhikkhuni Sangha in Thailand. Yes, Cindy, I'm sorry, I'm just I'm too long.
This is a beautiful answer. And I know training and education is so important to you. And you are, I believe you're maybe the only one who offers temporary ordination in Thailand. Is that true?
Yes, now I have to be grateful to my connection in Indonesia. In the beginning, I did not want to give ordination to people who just, how to say, pop in and out, you know, because ordination is very new. Ordination for women is very new in my country. And people support when they give financial support, and this person is ordained only for 5 days or for a month. You know, it's not worth the support that people so much intended to help us. So I was not thinking of giving ordination unless and until the person wants to take it lifelong. It's a lifelong commitment. That was my early understanding. But after my Indonesian connection, Venerable Santini in Indonesia convinced me that in her country, very few, very small Buddhists, and she's giving this temporary ordination to those students, like during their vacation, they come for ordination for short period. She convinced me that I should do that. Now, giving temporary ordination is not to support the Sangha, but to allow Buddhist women in my country to have better understanding of Buddhism, because we have not really prepared our Buddhist women to have any understanding about the Buddha's teaching. So at least this temporary ordination, 9 days. 9 days they are committed, they stay with you, and we take them out for alms. Receiving alms is one of the greatest experience for them. Some of them would come back and cry, They never thought that in their life they would be the one who receive alms. Usually women are the one who always kneel on the floor offering food to the monks, So this is the reverse. And now you see on the street, men kneeling on the footpath, to offer food to the nuns. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So yes, now I have given this temporary ordination to not less than 900 women in our own temple. But I also go as a preceptor. I also go to the north, Payao, and also to the south to give ordination to those women in different regions of the country. And Cindy was one. Cindy was one, coming all the way from United States to be ordained and stay with us for 9 days.
And
Cindy, I just wanted to ask one thing. So it seems like this, when you describe the men kneeling and offering alms to the nuns and the bhikkhunis, it seems like this is actually making a difference in the culture of the country.
Yes, Trudy. Very, very true. Very true. And it is very moving, when you see that. Yes. It is very moving, very moving.
Yeah. Sorry, Cindy. I know it's not my turn. You go
That's
ahead.
okay. I think
I'm so full of questions.
I know.
A friend of mine from school time, Susie would know. She now became general, and she came to watch us going out for alms. And when she came back, she was standing there crying. She could not imagine now that women have so much space, that now women ordained is so much accepted in Thai society. So this is something very moving, even for us, each day that we go out for alms, something new experience is happening, and we are very happy, sometimes, you're full of tears when you see this happening in the country when 20 years ago, women always have to be kneeling and making offering, and now it is a shift of gender, so to say.
I'm full of tears just listening to you.
I know
how intense the pushback was against you.
Yes. Trudy, that was very true in the first year. Very, very serious. But after that, it eases up. You just stand still. I didn't do anything. I didn't put up any fight. I just do what the Buddha told me to do.
Right.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And you often say that the Buddha was the first feminist. Can you say more about that?
Yes, the golden line that I draw in my text, when the Buddha gave permission to women to be ordained, it is because women, it was recognized by the Buddha that because women can be enlightened, not any other religion before Buddhism would come out so clearly. So, to recognize women, to have potentiality to be enlightened like men, that is a golden phrase. So I see him as a feminist, and throughout his life, particularly I studied monastic rules for the Bhikkhunis. I see so many, the Bhikkhunis have been taken advantage of by the monks. The monks were just following the tradition, the tradition was like that. And the Buddha always intervened and make a correction. make a statement, make a correction, set the rules so that the monks will not exploit, will not take advantage of the Bhikkhunis. So through my study, I could see this very clearly so that's why I said the Buddha is my first feminist.
Yes. And we've already can tell by your story that your call to be ordained was like a Christian call from God, that you support interfaith dialogue.
Yes.
You have such a beautiful story to tell that happened recently when a Catholic priest sent you a Christian cross that is now in your library. Could you tell us that story?
This is something about Talita Kum. Talita Kum, Talita Kum is Hebrew. When Christ actually raised the women, raised the young girls, Talita Kum is a Hebrew word. And this organization got in touch with us, and we have been working closely with the Catholic nuns. And they invited me to attend their, conference. And I met this one particular Catholic monk, a priest, Catholic priest, a Thai Catholic priest. And I told him how there was 1 year of my study, that I focused nothing but Christianity. And when I was studying Christianity, I felt so much connected to Christ. I felt particularly connected to Christ, crucified Christ on the cross, and the suffering that he was going through. Part of him was Son of Man, and because he was Son of Man, that's why he was afraid of death. He did not want to take this death. He knew death was coming. He did not want to take it, but yet he was saying that this glass, I did not want to take this cup, but if it's God's will, then I will take it. So that is part of Son of God. This Son of God and Son of Man was very clearly expressed, particularly with the crucified Christ, how this man gave himself totally up to save humanity, so to say. So to me, crucified Christ is the visualization that has very strong effect on me as a person to grow up with my inner strength. So this Catholic priest, he actually sent someone with the cross, with crucified Christ as a gift to me, so I'm very happy. And people would be surprised, they come to our temple with this crucified Christ in our classroom. So that's the way I teach my nuns also, that Christ is not the other. Don't see Christ as the other. Don't see Muhammad as the other. They speak the language that is very fitting for us to practice.
Mm-hmm. And I will just cite one last question so Trudy can have her questions. I just wanted for you to share a little bit about how you gave food to the people when the COVID crisis began, because it's also a very beautiful story.
Yes. When this lockdown happened so suddenly, people who live on daily wages suffer most. And there were poor people who are not even registered. And it hurt me so much inside, that we have to do something about it. So the next day, we did not have enough rice to share with them. So I bought 100 kilos of rice. And the sack was on the back of the pickup truck. So I climbed up the pickup truck, and I was scooping out rice to put it into small bags to distribute, And this picture of me scooping out rice to give it to people on the street, this was sent up in the Facebook somehow, and it went viral. That this is I'm using what you call the latest language. Now it goes viral. So this one man sitting in his house very happily. When he saw this, he said, I could not stand it. I could not stand seeing an old nun scooping out rice to give to the poor. I have to do something about it. This is very clearly explained in Buddhist texts. This is called the character of Mahapurisa, character of the great personality, so to say. And this man, what he did? he drove his pickup truck full of 600 kilos of rice to our temple weekly. So we have received from them, from this one particular man only, 6,000 kilos of rice. So on a daily basis, no, not daily, on a weekly basis, we prepared this. And then he said, no, you no more scooping rice. I ordered this 5 kilo packed, with handle like this, with the bag, with the handle. And we have been distributing this rice, oil, sauce, dry vegetable, fresh vegetable, whatever you can think of it. We set up 8 or 9 tables, in front of our temple gate, and we ourselves, we have to wear masks and we have to wear face shield, distributing them, and people would line up, and they also have to go through what you call this temperature. You measure temperature to see that they don't have cold, they don't have the fever. And they also have to clean with gel, clean their hand before they line up and come closer to us. We were scared, but at the same time, we knew that we have to do something to help them. So this continued for 10 weeks during the lockdown, so that people at least can survive with what we offered them. And we started with 40 families and then continued on, add up until the last week was 200 families. So we did not have, but we have the thought, we have the heart for them. So this project is called From Heart to Heart. And Alan took a video and Alan wrote an article about it. I don't know whether Alan is coming in or not. So my idea to convey to you is that don't think that you cannot do. Just start doing it, and people will come in. People will come in, and really, we are just Sapan Bun. Sapan Bun is the merit of Punya. You just make it happen by starting it. The project needs to be started, and everyone else will come in.
Venerable, thank you so much. I'm going to let Trudy have some time here, so we have also time for questions and answers. So I'll turn it over to Trudy.
Yes.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm seeing you, looking at your face and writing down your names.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you. So as you were saying about the Buddha being the first feminist, the Buddha, of course, wanted all people to be respected.
Of course, of course.
Everybody. And I wonder what you do with your own feelings, maybe sometimes sadness or anger about not just the beauty that's been lost through the oppression of women, but the oppression that continues too.
I suddenly this story came to my mind. I usually tell this story when I teach a class on deconstruction. The story about some of you might have been to Bodh Gaya, the place where the Buddha was enlightened. Behind the Bodhi tree, there is a Buddha image, a big one. And he is in a small vihara. And now it is so crowded, you can hardly enter. But there was a time, some 50 years back, that you can literally be there in front of him. Now, the story of this Buddha is like this, that during the time when the Muslim came, the Muslim ordered the statue to be removed, to be destroyed, to be removed, whatever. But the Muslim soldier was sitting on a horseback and gave an order from a distance. He said, after 3 days, I will come back and you make sure, he was telling the abbot, make sure that this Buddha statue must be removed. So the abbot called his how to say, his followers, or among the few of them, they discussed something. They discussed something that night. And what they did, they built up a wall in front of the Buddha, like that, to cover the Buddha completely. And they promised not to say anything, to keep all this secret. They will not mention this to anyone. So 3 days afterwards, the Muslim soldier came, and from the horseback, he was looking to see, oh, through the door, the Buddha already disappeared and he was happy. Nobody knew, apart from the abbot and his close followers, that how they actually sealed the Buddha. After 200-300 years, the bricks started to be loosened, and people, when they clean up the wall, they see this broken brick and they saw something inside, and slowly they remove the wall to realize that behind the wall, the Buddha is still sitting there, so beautiful. So I teach this in a deconstruction class, that Buddhism, as it has been handed down to us, there is many bricks that actually covered the beauty of the Buddha. It is our duty. It is our duty to break down the wall, and to bring forth the beauty of the Buddha, to bring forth the beauty of the teaching of Buddhism. So that's what we are doing. The fact that you were, the story earlier that I told you, how this man is just kneeling on the floor and offering food to the Bhikkhunis, that is one of the bricks we remove.
Oh. Thank you. That's really, it's very touching. Thank you so much. So I wonder, this is also a question about the teaching. The Buddha taught so many different kinds of meditations to help us detach from the body, from identification with the body. And I wonder, does that interfere, do you feel, with the respect for all the bodies, female bodies, male bodies, bodies that don't identify, non-binary bodies, all the different kinds of bodies. And what would the Buddha say about assigning a place for people just based on what they look like, which is what happens in our culture and across the cultures in the world? Do you see any connection or way that teachings about detachment from the body help or get in the way of respecting all bodies?
To me, if I look at a young man, like I look at Austin, and I refer to Austin to my great-grandson, we are all connected. I feel that we are all connected. And this segregation, this putting a wall between us, that's where it makes so much difficulties, so much problems in the world. Actually, our physical differences is only the garb, only the outside, the clothing, but because we pay so much attention to that and we don't see the person inside, that's why we have so much problems, so much rejection, so much. The first year when I was ordained, a very interesting story. This man, he was curious about the news that now that a woman is ordained. So he came to check on me. He brought four women with him, and I don't know whether he himself wanted to bow to me, but he did not. Through culture, it is not possible for a man to bow to a woman, So nevertheless, he told the women who came with him, bow to her. You see, so he is still stuck with the outer appearance, but inside him, he wanted to bow.
Yes.
For me, for being a monastic. And we see this, Trudy, we see this in society, very heavily. Our society is still very heavily loaded with this way of judging people. When you judge people, you always judge to make them the other. That's when the problems start.
Right. This is a big problem in our country too. This is not just a Thailand problem, as you know, around the world. And so I wonder, in your experience, in your life of having, this very worldly life out in the world as a professor and the TV host, and now as a monastic, what is the most important way that you feel, Venerable, that we can work toward, I mean, everything you're saying is this, but specifically toward a world that sees, what's inside us, our love, our the way we express our love, our compassion and so forth, our aspirations, that the world sees this is more important than the factors over which we have no control, like how we look. And I don't mean makeup. I mean, whether we're white,
Yes.
or male or female or BIPOC or, however gender we identify, all these things.
So sometimes, when you explain to them, it's conceptual and it is up in the air. Often we have to do it in action. So we just had Katina ceremony. Katina ceremony, for some of you who are not familiar, is the offering of the robe, and it happens at the end of the rain retreat. So in our temple, we had this, and people always expect that I would have gift for them. At the end of the ceremony, they kind of expect that, oh, Venerable Mother will give some gifts. So this time, we prepared gift. It's relics of the saint. Now, people, they really highly respect.
Yes.
But to me, I explained to them, this is Dhatu. Dhatu means element. Yes, it is element. We are made of the 4 elements. Trudy is also made of the 4 elements. All of us here are made of 4 elements. And we just borrowed this physical form only for a certain period of time. After 80 years, after 90 years, we are gone. And we have to return these elements to the greater elements of the universe. So when I was giving them the relics, they would ask, oh, the relics of that arahat. I said, I don't know. I'm just giving you element. You see, this thing down to earth, I'm giving you element.
Yeah.
And this element is very much you too. At the end of your life, you will return to this element. So that was my gift to them. Oh, they really put like this.
Thank you. That's beautiful. If you had advice for young women, whether in our country or anywhere, what would it be?
Oh, that is a difficult question. Because I'm facing, my granddaughter. The eldest one is 24. So I'm like, this question is for me to speak to her also. We have to understand from their level of interest. I try to teach them as grandma, with grandma's knowledge, grandma's experience. She does not understand. Really, Trudy, they don't understand. So we really have to go back to them, see their interest, and try to bring them out, or at least allow them to see our version of how you look at things. So we become like friends, Number one, when we talk to them, we have to lower ourselves to their level so that they could trust, they could start talking to you at the same level as how they feel, how they would react. And I think this is a difficult part that we tend to be telling them, I was born in that tradition of, my mother telling me to do things and I never question her. Whatever my mother say is the law of the family, but you cannot do that to younger generation in this age, So before telling them anything, we have to build up this trust before they start opening up. So yesterday I was playing cards. Oh, being a monastic, you play cards with your granddaughter. My granddaughter is 9. This is another one. She was playing cards, what they call it, circus. And she was teaching me, this, you understand backward? Because in the card it's backward, skip like that, Oh, what is it? So I have to play ignorant so that she will teach me. You see?
Yes.
We have to play ignorant so that allow her to be in the position to teach you. So by doing this, we have to let go of ourselves a great deal to be at the level, at her level, to understand what she's doing. then you can slowly bring out the best of her and slowly building trust. I think trust is very important, very important. We can build trust only when we can make them feel we are the same. We are the same, you know. So there is a great deal of Buddhist practice behind this, because we always hold on to I, as a grandmother, telling my granddaughter like that, you know. So I am not answering your question, but I'm trying to convey what I'm doing, what I'm doing with my own younger generation.
Well, I think you are answering the question, and it really, I mean, I saw Liam get up and I thought, I really should have asked young people, not just young women. This is about young people.
Yes.
Really, because the young people are, I think, actually, many of them learning more respect for each other than happened in my generation, certainly, and more understanding. But you're also, another teaching of the Buddha that you're reminding me of is the Buddha was very clear that he wanted people who are in a position of teaching or leading to speak in the, he said, in the vernacular, in the,
yes. Speak their language.
to speak the language, not to try and use jargon or fancy words or speak in Sanskrit or speak in Latin if you're Catholic, or, but to speak in the language of the people. And you're really talking about listening to the young people and trying to not appropriate their fun words and act like you're young, but just to listen and to respond in a way that is attuned to their language, so to speak. I think that's really what you're saying, right?
Yes, which is difficult, because we ourselves are trapped, trapped in the role of monastic, trapped in the role of grandma, trapped in the role of the elderly. You always speak from above. So now you have to lower down. You don't have the planes. You don't have the planes flying around anymore now with COVID. So you have to land yourself, come down to the level so that you can actually reach them. Before you can teach anything to them, you have to reach their level. You have to build trust with them first.
It's so interesting that you talk about, as an elder, having to come down to their level. In our society, in our culture, being an old woman, being a grandma is not a respected role.
Oh, yes, I realize that.
In a way, we almost have to come up to a place of trust where they would want to listen to us and learn from our experience, because that's not built in. There's just so much worship of youth.
Yes.
But it's not worshiping, it's not worshiping what matters about young people. It's, again, to do with how they look, their attractiveness and youthfulness, not their hearts and their passions and what they aspire to with their lives, all of that. It's just different. So I feel I feel like I'm really monopolizing you right now and your attention, and I would like to open up for others who would like to talk to you. Austin showed you how to use the raise hand function in the participant, and then he will call on you and you can unmute yourself and ask Venerable, what's in your heart that you would like to hear about for your own practice, your own life?
Yeah, what I heard was meeting people where they're at and how that really builds trust. And Cassidy has been waiting very, very patiently. So Cassidy, if you'd like to unmute.
Cassidy, where are you?
Sure. Heart's racing a little bit. I'm nervous, but it's an honor to meet you, Venerable, to meet someone like you and to seek wisdom from somebody who's walked your path. I wanted to ask you, so kind of going back a little bit to the beginning of your story, how do you know when it's your time? I guess, like, you heard the call in your heart to like monastic life. How do you know it's your time, and what do you recommend to someone interested in monastic life?
Particularly for Western people, monastic life in Buddhism is the other culture. The culture is very different. So that's why in Jithurst, they would ask you to stay as a layperson wearing white for 1 year. In the Buddha's time, he asked to stay for four months. It's very clear. If you come from non-Buddhist background, you stay 4 months before you can actually be accepted or be ordained. But this shift from Western culture to Buddhist culture, which is very much Asian culture, that is a great shift. So try out. Allow yourself to try out whether this is the way you want to be monastic in Buddhist setting. If you look for freedom, as you understand the word freedom generally, then it is not. Monastic life is not about freedom. Monastic life is very committed life. Just to give you an example, when you eat, you don't eat for yourself. You eat for others. What I mean to say is that people bring all kind of food to you. You cannot eat what you like. You have to eat for them because they are the one who brought the food. So with respect to them, you take half a spoon here, half a spoon here, half a spoon here, so you're eating for others. You see, so this shift alone is a great shift. And I'm sorry to say, many monastics up till now, they have not practiced this number one shift, in the way we are monastics. So allow yourself that period to try out whether this is what you think, because what you think may not be what really it is, so that you will not be disappointed.
Thank you very much. Christopher, would you like to ask your question?
Oh, where is
There we go. Hello, I'm so honored and so happy to see you. I don't think seen you since you took vows. So this is a new look.
Yes, and new hairstyle.
It works. I like it very much. And in our meetings, we would often talk about environmental ethics and Buddhism and ecology. So I'm wondering if you could share with us a little bit about how the monks, both the bhikkhus and the bhikkhunis, are able to help with environmental action in Thailand.
Yes, thank you. My work on ecology started with my research with the Tibetan side, since the year 1985. And I thought that, I will finish with this research and then I'm done. But once when you get into the study of ecology, you cannot step out because you feel so responsible to continue. So once when I'm ordained, now our temple is trying to set up a model for eco-temple. That is, we care for ecology. People don't have to bring money in order to make merit. You know how Thai people like to make merit by bringing money, offering to the monks and all that. We said, instead of bringing money, you can bring money if you like, but bring trash. Bring trash, make merit. So now as soon as when they are aware that they are bringing trash to Venerable Mother, then they start separating. Chris, they start separating. That they had never done before, So they start separating paper, they start separating a newspaper, this A4 that you use in your office, plastic, all kind of plastics, broken plastic bucket, everything. They start bringing that, in the back of their cars to make merit. So we separate them, and sometimes we recycle them. Right now I'm doing weaving from your old shirts, like when people bring old shirts, we cut into strip like this and I start weaving. I have woven 4, 5, what you call the rug that you put in front of your bed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like that, 4, 5 of them, and give it to to people who make donation, make a greater donation. So we start showing them that how we can recycle, And our temple is run by, what do you call it? Solar system? Solar system. Yes, we use clean power. And every month we can sell our recycle back to the factory again. Yes.
Excellent, excellent.
And Chris, very important is the recycle of your breath.
Ah.
When you breathe in good air to nourish yourself, and when you breathe out, you make this full of love, full of caring for others. When you breathe out, this energy is coming out to heal others. So this is what you call returning to nature in a better way. Like I'm sitting here and I'm so grouchy, my face is like this, everyone, 50 of us, no, 48 right now, 48 of us, watching me, all of you get so tense, and the air is not clean because you are so tense inside. So this breathing is also very important, to keep breathing in, nurturing ourselves, and when you breathe out, you send love to others.
Thank you. We have a question from the chat. It says, I work in the philosophy department at a university, and part of my work involves anti-racism, anti-sexism. I encounter a lot of resistance from people who say they have good intentions, but often do a lot of harm. They often become defensive when I ask them to consider vulnerable students and workers. The longer I do this work, I find it harder to be compassionate because I see the consequences of the harm. How can I reach the uncompassionate and remain compassionate myself?
Let the compassion flow. Let the compassion flow. And they can resist. In the beginning, they can resist, but they cannot resist forever. You keep smiling, what to do? They want to clobber my head, that's fine. I keep smiling. So this what you call this, inner strength is very important. Inner strength is very important. What you do, you really mean it. You really mean it. Doesn't matter what. You may not respect me simply because this is what I do. That's fine with me. That's fine with me. So there is a great sense of this I, me, my mind. I am not doing it for myself. I'm doing it for the good of others. Whether you like it, you don't like it, that's fine with me. I can really bow and I respect you. Eventually, Dharma always win over Dharma. In Buddhism, we have the word Dharma and Adharma. So trust the Buddha that Dharma will protect. Dharma will protect. So be true to the teaching, be true to practice, put the teaching in our life. The teaching of the Buddha is outside, but unless and until you live it in your bone and blood here, then it's only words. If you don't live the teaching, it's only the words outside, it's only the wind blowing in and out. So live it in your own presence. Very important question.
I'd like to give an opportunity for anybody who hasn't asked a question yet to come forward. We don't have any hands raised.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be a question.
Whoops, I think you got muted by accident.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, even if you don't have a question for Venerable, just something from your own experience that you're working with right now. Okay, Eric has raised his hand.
Yeah, hello, Venerable. It's such a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for this opportunity. I want to kind of reflect on the question that was just asked, and also kind of bringing it back to the very beginning of Guan Yu, the image that you shared with us. I found it so fascinating, and you referred to this figure as honesty, but if I understand correctly, he's also a general, a war general, a warrior. That kind of represents strength, right?
Yes.
So I wanted to, yeah, yes, and it just got me thinking about how I think in everything that you've done, resilience and perseverance and strength is also so important. And I think oftentimes Buddhism is associated with wisdom and compassion, but I think that strength is also
Very
so
important.
important. So I wanted to ask whether you can maybe share with us how you understand the relationship between strength and compassion, either in your own experience or within the Buddhist tradition.
Oh, I'm so glad that you brought out this, so that it allows me to talk about Kuan Yu more. Kuan Yu died with his head cut off. His head cut off, and his head is buried in one place, and his body is buried in another place. And when he died, now people recognize him, even honored him as a king. As a king, Kuan Yu was represented as a king. He's very sincere, very honest man, very sincere, and he died because of his sincerity, that he trusted others, and the weapon that he used, you call it spear. The weapon, very heavy. The one that he used, very heavy. Nobody else could use this, So that represents the strength that he had, On majestically, he is on the horseback holding this spear. That picture alone gives me goose pimple, give me the strength. So I think it's very important that we also, when we do our work as a monastic, there is that strength, resilient within you, that you have to keep on doing this. When I was first ordained, people said, "Oh, you are very brave." The word brave did not occur to me at all. I was doing my duty. I was doing the responsibility that the Buddha gave us. Are we truthful to the Buddha? We call ourselves Buddhist. Are you truthful to the Buddha's teaching? The monks in my country do not recognize bhikkhunis. That's their problem, not mine. My problem is to respect the Buddha. The bhikkhuni is the one that the Buddha established. Because I have great respect for the Buddha, I must do what he intended me to do. So it is not about being brave. It is simply just that sincerity I have for being a Buddhist, for being the one who followed the Buddhist teaching, for being the one whom the Buddha trusts, that Buddhism in our hand will prosper. And unless and until we are responsible, it cannot be prosperous. Yeah. So I'm so happy that you bring out this.
So you focus, Venerable, on Guan Yu's strength and courage and sincerity. I understand he died in an ambush, but do you feel any conflict with the image of a military man who, fights and kills people and all of that?
As a bodhisattva, if you have to kill, you have to kill. Not killing the person, but killing ignorance. You have to visualize that if you have to kill, you kill ignorance, not killing a person. So that's how I take in the message. Yeah. So you have to have the strength to be able to work against all the negative power that is working around you, So, and Buddhism talks a great deal about this ignorance and how we have to overcome. So you could see Kuan Yu as a visualized form of using strength in order so that you can overcome ignorance.
Beautiful, thank you. And I see that Sallie has her hand up.
Yes, thank you very, very much. It's an honor to be able to ask you a question, Venerable. I'm sure you're aware that we've just completed a very contentious, almost completed a very contentious election in our country. I think we believe that it's a hugely, hugely important election, not only for our country, but for other other countries all around the world. And we're very aware that there's a half of us, or almost half of us, that believe almost the exact opposite of the other half. And this is not working well for us. And we are fairly certain that we have to go forward together. So is there anything that you can help us with, guidance, the most important guidance that you might give to our country and our people, and how we can forge this alliance with each other, even though we're very, very, we're in opposition with each other?
Not talking about the situation that you are facing in United States, we are facing the same situation in Thailand also, and we have to take stand. We have to be brave to take a standpoint and come forward with that standpoint. In our country, one group want to topple over the monarchy, one group want to support. So it's very clear. It's very clear the way they're shouting on the stage. We have to consider, how to say, ความดีความชั่ว good and bad, good and bad. Good for whom? Good for whom? Like in your country, good for whom? If it's good only for the white, United States is a country that opens up for all races. Are you true to that? You look at the star, you look at the stars on your flag, are you representing all that? So I think this is a crucial time that American people have to sit down and really understand what America stands for. Now, I think I'm just giving you the way people outside looking at United States, that United States had lost that people, the big brother, the status of being big brother. You have kind of lost it because you cannot handle the situation even in your own country. So in that way, United States have lost, at least to the eyes of the outsider. So American people themselves have to really sit down and anchored within their heart. When you say you are American, United States of America, what is this? What is this? United. The word united is very big for the Americans. How much are you united? What is the goal? What is the main goal of the country to bring people together? I think you need to really sit down and talk about this in order to find that the position that you take in is the position that serves the goal of the United States of America. Have to be true to yourself. Have to be very truthful to yourself. I think that's why my visualization of Guan Wu, this God of trust, God of honesty, God of strength, is very important to me. At the time when I didn't have any support from outside, how I connect myself to the energy that is in the world, and how do you draw that energy? So sometimes you need to pray so that the light comes and you actually see the true path that you are leading. I think we need that also. At the time when you don't seem to be able to seek the way from normal way, so to say. Not easy. I'm just saying from outsider. I'm sorry if I said anything that is not correct. You will help me. Mark, is it Mark? Mark, if I say something that is not good, please delete.
What you said was really beautiful and profound. We have time for just one more person, because actually this is Venerable's lunchtime, and there are very strict rules about when monastics can take their food, and then that's it. If you miss that time, you are going to be hungry till the next day. So Wendy, and then we will say good night together, and well, good night for us and good lunch for you.
Okay.
Lunch is our last meal. That's what happened.
One last meal. Thank you so much for everything that you've said and shared, Venerable. It's an honor to hear you. And I just found, as you spoke, I could feel my heart softening and softening and softening. And, you know, as Sallie said, this is and has been and will be a very, very painful, difficult time in our country. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. Yeah, it just is. But when you kept talking about we are not the other, when you said Christ is not the other, you know, and you're coming from a Buddhist tradition, you know, when you talked about meeting young people, you know, as like equals at the same level, not that you're really even going down to their level, but that we're going to meet human heart to human heart. And it gave me hope that, you know, if I can come from that deep sense of heart connection to others and try to connect, like you kept talking about trust, try to connect on that and build trust, you know, even with people that seem to be the polar opposite of me.
Yes.
But to start building bridges as human beings of what we do have in common and what we do value in common, because I really think there's more in common than difference, but the differences have been so magnified by everything that's happened, and it happens around the world too, as you were saying. But I just find my heart feeling open and softened and more, actually a little more joyful than it was when I came into these rooms. So I really, really thank you for, you know, what you shared with us all. Thank you so much.
I think I'm grateful for what you said, because it gives us immediate example how we can deal with the situation. You know, if you are very true, I'm very true to this talk, and when I say things to you, it comes directly from my heart. I speak what I feel, and if trust, I have trust in all of you. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. You know, so this situation, how matter what bad situation it may be, you know, the Chinese word crisis, this character of crisis actually has the word opportunity in it. You might have heard from many speakers. And because we are in this crisis, that's why we see a greater opportunity, even better than before the crisis. You know, with this COVID, that's why we have Zoom. That's why I can speak to you. Otherwise, you know, who is going to sponsor my ticket all the way from Thailand to United States? You see, so this every crisis brings in front of you the chance for you to come up above the crisis, you know, to actually meet this opportunity to, best of all, is to understand yourself and to let go what is peripheral, what is not important. You know, we cling on to, we add up to ourselves so many things that is not important. Imagine that today is my last day. What I will do just that. Imagine that it is our last day, our last hour, what you're going to do. You know, I have a friend who had some fight with his brother, and they never talked for 20 years. Can you imagine that? So when you just let go, cut off all the frills, in life, and you see what is important, what is necessary, what is that which you need to do in this 1 hour, you will see lots of change. You will really see lots of change. At my age, I am 76 now. I live only on day to day. So once when you start living on day to day, I realize how I let go of many things which I used to cling on to as very important. You have to listen to Venerable Mother saying that Venerable Mother is going to die. So you can really, you use the word soften the heart, no? Yes, because we are human. That's why our heart is still soft. But how can we make our heart so hard that people cannot reach you, So soften. Once you are softened, you will see many things. You will see many things, many positive things that you did not see before. So I think it is possible. It is possible that we come together and do something that will improve our way of life, our way of thinking, just simply our being, to realize that my being is your being, and that is just being, not your being or my being. You see, this Buddhist teaching comes to you immediately.
Wow. Thank you, Venerable. Thank you. Thank you for your beautiful, strong, heartfelt, passionate teaching. And I'm worried that you're going to miss lunch.
That's fine. That's fine. We will
I
have
don't
lunch.
want to go hungry till tomorrow. So thank you for being with us. And maybe, Venerable, you can go eat lunch and we can talk a little bit about maybe how to support you in the next few minutes. How would that be?
Sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, Trudy. Thank
Such a big honor. Thank you.
Mark. And I miss out another name. Austin. How can I miss out Austin? My great-grandson. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy to meet all of you. Sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Cindy, do you want to say a few words about supporting Dhammananda's work for people to hear?
Sure. Well, you've just seen, for any of you who have read my book, and it's not a push for that, but the years I've spent studying with her, my great love for her is evident in her heart and in her spirit. So I really want to encourage you. I don't know, I'm sorry, Trudy, I don't know how Donna works at InsightLA, but anything that anyone would like to give in support of Venerable, of course, the government does not support female monastics. It does support male monastics. She's not broke by any sense of imagination. She's very astute, but it would really help if you would like to contribute something in her honor. And she would very much appreciate that, and so would I. Thank you.
Mark, how would people best do that so that we understand that it's for Venerable?
Well, sure. People, the registration fees will be shared with Venerable. And also, if you want to make a special contribution, you can go to our website on the donate page, InsightLA.org/donate. And in the dedication, write Venerable Dhammananda, and we'll make sure to get it to her.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you again, Trudy, and thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Cindy, for this idea. Thank you so much. It's because of you that we had this wonderful evening. So thank you. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.